You're about to listen to an excerpt of Secret City Geek Lab broadcast on KTSTFM.com every Wednesday at 7 o'clock p.m. For more news, reviews, and interviews from the world of geek, visit the Geek Lab at secretcitycomedy.com/geeklab or like us on Facebook at facebook.com/secretcity. Enjoy the show. You listen to KTSTFM. This is Secret City Geek Lab, and I'm Alan Ng. And coming up next is our movie review of Saving Mr. Banks. When Walt Disney's daughters beg him to make a movie of their favorite book, P.L. Travers, Mary Poppins, he made them a promise, one that he didn't realize would take 20 years to keep. In his quest to obtain the rights, Walt comes up against a curmudgeonly, uncompromising writer who has absolutely no intention of letting her beloved magical nanny get mauled by the Hollywood machine. But as the books stop selling and money grows short, Travers reluctantly agrees to go to Los Angeles to hear Disney's plan for the adaptation. Saving Mr. Banks came out on December 13, 2013. It is directed by John Lee Hancock, runs just a little over 2 hours, rated PG-13. It was written by Sue Smith and Kelly Marcel, and stars Tom Hanks, Emma Thompson, Paul Giamatti, Colin Farrell, Bradley Whitford, B.J. Novak, and Jason Schwartzman. For the purpose of the review, I'm choosing not to research the actual story of Walt Disney and P.L. Travers, but I'm going to judge this as a movie itself. Saving Mr. Banks is a docudrama, which means creative and historical license is being taken in order to tell a story that is palatable for a general audience. Walt Disney Studios has intended to weave a marvelous story about getting the rights to P.L. Travers' Mary Poppins and how it was given to Walt Disney, and to be able to make it into what is arguably Walt Disney's best live-action film. The main story of Disney and Travers runs parallel to the story of Travers as a child growing up in Australia with her family. The main story consists of scenes featuring Walt Disney, Don DeGrady, and the Sherman brothers as they attempt to create a script that Travers will approve. Instead, it's really about Disney's struggle to understand why Travers holds the characters of her book in such high regard, and her fear that they are becoming Disneyfied, especially the character of Mr. Banks, her father. The second story, though, follows a young Travers who idolizes her banker father, a man who would much rather raise a family than run a bank, and a man who would make a promise that he could not keep. The two stories run parallel with each other, and they eventually come together at the end. The results will leave you with a tear in your eye and a new appreciation not only for the movie Mary Poppins, but for a new appreciation for the brilliance of the Sherman Brothers' music. Also, the final moment when Disney is able to convince Travers is poignant. He shows insight into why the author wrote the story in the first place. Tom Hanks and Emma Thompson deserve an Oscar nod for their performances, although they probably won't win. They should be recognized anyways. Who would have thought that anyone could ever portray Walt Disney on the big screen, and Tom Hanks pulls that off. Two other performances I should call out. First is Paul Giamatti as the studio hired driver that takes P.L. Travers everywhere she needs to go in Los Angeles, and Colin Farrell, who plays her father and gives a really heartfelt performance in the movie. All said, Saving Mr. Banks is the feel-good movie that will make you laugh, tear up, and feel good. It's also a very clean, simple studio story. There's not a lot of fluff to it. The movie gets right to the action, and there's not a great deal of complexity to this movie, which may keep it from winning Best Picture at Oscar time. Oh, we have a caller. It's Thorin. You have a comment?
Hi, Alan. This is Thorin from Glen Grove, long-time listener, first-time caller. I have to tell you that I'm so outraged with Saving Mr. Banks. Well, first of all, it's the Disneyfication of true events. I mean, the movie really made Mrs. Travers look real bad. First of all, facts that were not in the movie. Walt Disney met her only once and went away so that he wouldn't have to interact with her again. Two, the limo driver Ralph, well, he was a fabrication. There was no limo driver named Ralph that showed her and taught her the ways of Los Angeles. I mean, really. And then third, she never liked the final movie. Sure, she gave her permission to use her stories, and she went to the premiere and everything, but she never liked the final movie. And then, seriously, I doubt Walt Disney would follow her immediately to London by taking the next flight to chase after her. That just seems like a dramatic fiction. I will not be seeing this abomination of the film again, and I will hang up and listen to your comment.
Okay, thanks, Lauren. Yeah, I mean, the reality is this is not meant to be a true telling of the actual story. It's a docudrama. It's really meant to be a movie that tells a story in a dramatic way. You can kind of tell that these aren't real events that occurred in the way they exactly occurred, I should say, because things just happened a little bit too dramatically. And I seriously doubt, the high points of this movie actually, happened. But nonetheless, she did finally give up rights to, or allowed Disney to have rights to make her movie Mary Poppins, and he was able to make an amazing film out of it. So yeah, I think if they showed the real events that happened, it would probably be a very boring and long movie. There's no real point of self-realization, and there's probably no real mountaintop moment that occurred in real life. But nonetheless, Saving Mr. Banks is a solid movie, and I give it 8 out of 10. This was a production of Secret City Geek Lab on KTSTFM.com. We broadcast every Wednesday at 7 o'clock p.m. Visit the Geek Lab at secretcitycomedy.com/geeklab or like us on Facebook at facebook.com/secretcity.